Self-care, self-love, and self-awareness, a workshop for teenagers made by the English Montreal School Board Spiritual Community Animation Service of 2020. So, according to the Oxford Dictionary, self-care is defined as the practice of taking an active role in protecting one's own well-being and happiness, in particular during periods of stress. So first of all, self-care is not selfish in the way that we traditionally think of selfishness, where we think when someone is being selfish, they're being greedy and they're taking too much. So usually when we think of selfishness, we think of someone who takes up too much time, takes up too much space, takes up too many resources, takes up too much energy in the room. But self-care is not selfish in that regard. It is selfish in that you are actively taking care of yourself in order to be somebody who can give back to others. Self-care as a practice is actually a wonderful buffer to protect you when challenging things will happen, because challenging things will always happen. That's part of human nature. That's human life. It's part of the life cycle that you will go through terrible, horrible, no good, very bad days. And so when we practice self-care on a regular basis, when those events do occur, we're able to have the resilience built up inside of us that we can bounce back from those challenges. And also we can kind of go into more of an autopilot mode so that we practice the self-care during these extremely tough times when we need it the most, when we've been pushed down and we need to lift ourselves back up again. These self-care practices, if we've been doing it regularly, will become second nature. And so we will do it automatically. And that is what lifts us up during these challenging times. So self-care, students, is not selfish. It is not greedy. It is necessary, because you cannot help others if you don't know how to help yourself. You cannot take care of others if you do not take care of yourself first. So why self-care is so important? Like I said, it's that buffer that it does for you, but also it helps you in like more specific ways. It helps you maintain a healthy relationship with yourself. Okay, you learn to like yourself, appreciate yourself. It produces positive feelings. It boosts your confidence and your self-esteem. Self-esteem is so incredibly important when we're trying to make decisions for ourselves and we're trying to figure out the direction of our own lives and feel like we're in control. Self-esteem is part of that. We need to have high self-esteem in order to feel like we are in control of the direction of our own lives. Also, self-care is necessary to remind yourself and others that you and your needs are important too. You matter. You matter as much as everybody else. You are also important. And so taking care of yourself reminds you of that on a daily basis. Self-care ensures that you stay sharp, motivated, and healthy. It does actually prevent you from developing certain illnesses and diseases, because your stress is less. And stress can be a factor in developing a lot of diseases. Okay, to reiterate, the benefits: it boosts your self-esteem and confidence. It increases your productivity. It improves your self-compassion. So that's the amount of kindness you show towards yourself. It helps you get in touch with your inner self. You get to know yourself better. It forces you to slow down. Our modern world is very fast-paced, very much productivity. Get this much done, do this much, be here, be there, schedule. Accomplish these goals as fast as possible. And humans are not designed to move this fast. We are designed to be more methodical, more sensitive, more reflective in our decision making and our interactions with each other. And so if we're always constantly moving, we're not giving ourselves, our brain, that processing time. And so by self-caring, we are slowing down, and this gives us a chance to look around and observe what's going on, digest it, and analyze it, and then make healthy decisions for ourselves. It also boosts your immune system. So when I say self-care, I mean that there are 4 parts of you that you need to self-care, okay? For a wholesome and complete you need to find balance in physical, emotional, social, and spiritual care. You need to do all four areas, because that's the 4 parts of you. That's what makes you you. So caring for yourself in each of these categories will create balance, harmony, and you'll have an inner sense of well-being. So let's talk about it. So physical self-care, what is that? I mean, it's basically taking care of your body, okay? Meeting all of your physical needs, eating nutritious food, taking part in activities that force you to move, and also giving your body enough time to rest and relax. Some ideas of physical self-care: dancing, organizing your space, playing with the dog, going for walks, working out, taking a bath, taking a shower, doing your nails, yoga, playing any sport. I mean, anything that requires movement, either fast-paced or slow-paced, is physical self-care. Drinking enough water, taking a nap when you feel tired. So these are all examples of physical self-care. So I want you to think about, what are your ways that you physically self-care? Okay, so I want you to think about that. I'll give you a few seconds. Okay. Next one, number 2, emotional self-care. Your emotions are not bad. They are not good. They are just emotions. They are messengers for your brain to recognize that something is happening in your environment and that you need to pay attention to something. Maybe it's a happy emotion, so you need to pay attention to how much joy and like the fun that's going on. Maybe it's a sad emotion. You need to pay attention to the pain and the trauma of the experience. So it's not about, like, there's no good emotions and bad emotions. It's just emotions. It's what makes you a human being and not a robot. And we have a range of emotions. We have so many, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emotions, and all human beings have access to all of them. Some of us will feel those emotions more intensely than others, but everybody feels emotions. And so pretending like you don't have any, or trying to ignore them, or trying to push them down, will eventually cause an explosion. So you need to recognize your emotions. So emotional self-care is developing an understanding of your feelings, taking steps to honor those emotions when they pass through you, becoming aware of your emotional triggers in your environment, and then, thinking about, okay, what is triggering me? Why is it triggering me? What can I do to either prevent the trigger or to take care of the trigger once it happens? And creating an emotional care routine will help ground you and will help with your personal energy to feel, again, balanced. So different ways to emotionally self-care: writing, starting a journal, diary every day, journaling every day, watching a funny movie, expressing your feelings to others. Just saying, I feel angry right now, is liberating. You don't need to get advice. You don't need to tell people because they need to help you out with anything. You're just putting it out there. You're just saying, this is how I'm feeling right now. So if I don't engage in whatever conversation is happening, or if I don't feel like participating, I hope you understand. And that's it. They don't need to solve your feelings for you, but it's great to tell people what you're feeling. Creating new experiences, trying something new can really change our mood, because it kind of gets you out of that like headspace where everything is the same. And so your ideas are just like flowing in like a cycle, because it's just like everything is reminding you of what happened before. So just going out there and trying something new will change your state, and will just be like, oh, this is something new. I can develop some new emotions associated with this. Learn to say no. And I'm sure most adults don't tell you this. Learn to say no. If your friends or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whoever wants you to do something that you are uncomfortable doing, say no. Say, I'm not interested in doing that. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. I'm walking away from this situation. If you're afraid that your friends will not understand and that they'll dump you or ditch you, then they're not very good friends and you would want to ditch them, okay? Saying no is so important and powerful in helping you regulate your emotions, because there's something going on inside you where you're like, I'm not comfortable with this. It doesn't jive with who I am. So saying no is one way that we honor those feelings that we have. Accept compliments. Don't brush them off. Don't say things like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I'm not that, no, it's one time it happened. I'm not that good. No. Say thank you. Smile and say thank you. I appreciate that you said that. That's it. Smiling actually triggers a response in our brain to feel happy. Crying, so incredibly powerful. I always feel better after I cry. It doesn't matter if I'm crying because I'm sad or I'm angry, or if I'm laughing too much, I sometimes cry. But crying is just a way for our bodies to naturally release a stress hormone in our system called cortisol. And so it's natural to cry. So if you feel this urge to cry, cry. If you need to go someplace private to do it because you don't want to do it in front of other people, do that. But don't prevent yourself from crying. And of course, asking for help. Emotional self-care, asking for help. We are human beings. We live in groups. Ask for help. Number 3, social self-care. Okay, so social self-care is essentially taking care of your relationships. Okay, making sure that you have fun in your relationships, that you surround yourself with people that you love and that you feel loved by. It means talking effectively through your conflicts, solving the problem, not ignoring your problems, but working through them, trying to resolve them. It means attending to the emotional needs of the people in your life. And it's about this giving and receiving balance between or within your relationships. So you give support to others, but you also feel like you receive support from others. And it's this back and forth flow that is happening. And this is what creates this sense of stability, belonging, and that you feel balanced inside of you. When it comes to relationships, essential elements are trust, safety, honesty, and respect. So you need to have those 4 qualities at the minimum for it to even be a relationship that you should even be part of. So if you are, in a relationship, it's not going very well, working on those 4 areas, learning to trust each other, being honest with each other, being honest with yourself, feeling safe in that relationship, and respecting each other as human beings. Working on those elements will help foster growth in that relationship. So maximize the amount of enjoyment you have with each other, okay? And work on developing that relationship and growing them, because relationships develop over time. You don't meet somebody and then right away the relationship is amazing. Relationships are always like twisty, turny little journeys between you and them. So work on your relationships, be proactive in that, and relationships can change and grow over time. So any activity that nurtures and deepens the relationships with the people in your life is social self-care. Again, have fun, maximize enjoyment. So choose activities where you know that everybody will have a good time. Ensure that there is respect, trust, safety, and honesty in that relationship, and work on those elements, or do activities that work on those elements. And also give your relationship time to grow and evolve. It could take months, it could take years, depending on that relationship. And when I say relationships, I mean, relationships with your friends, relationships with romantic partners, relationships with your parents and your other family members, like your siblings and your extended family, relationships with the people that you work with. Okay, when I say relationships, I mean all social relationships. They all require trust, safety, respect, and honesty. And you should always be trying to work towards maximizing your enjoyment of each other's company. Okay, so working on doing activities that foster that, and knowing that they take a while to develop. So what are your ways to socially self-care? Think about it. I'll give you a few seconds. Okay. And then the fourth part of you that you need to take care of is your spiritual self. Okay, so spiritual self-care. Spiritual self-care means that you are getting in touch with your values and what really matters to you. Okay, so who you are on the inside, what you believe in, what is important, what drives you. This is your spirit. This is your soul. Okay, and when we get to know our spirits or our souls deeply, we are able to develop our sense of purpose. And your purpose changes. They can change over time. So maybe now at this age, you have one purpose, but in 10 years, you're going to have a whole new set of purposes, but you don't know what they are, and you don't know how to get to achieving that purpose if you don't get to know yourself and you don't spend quality time with yourself where you are quiet, you are at peace, and you are reflecting. And so that is spiritual self-care. It's not just religious, but being part of a religion, if that's important to you, is part of your spiritual self-care. I'll explain after. But it does deepen your connection with your higher self, with the greater universe, with the environment around you. And again, it helps create alignment within yourself of your values so that who you feel you are on the inside is who you also feel you are presenting on the outside. Okay, and so that alignment happens when we spiritually self-care. And of course, this leads to inner peace and a sense of belonging to your community. So ideas for spiritual self-care. If you do belong to a religion, fantastic. Practicing that religion, participating in its traditions, its rituals, prayer, meditation, mindfulness. So sitting and being quiet, reflecting, asking the big questions, seeking those answers, finding your purpose and meaning in your life. Spending time in nature is really powerful and is a beautiful way to spiritually self-align. Meditation, like I said, mindfulness, if you are not religious, and that's okay. Having an awareness and appreciation of the people in your life and the people who work in the background of your life. Like, your life is the way it is, not just because of the people you know, but also because of people you don't know. And so having some gratitude, like developing a sense of gratitude for what you are, where you are, and what's going on in your life, despite whether, there's good things and bad things happening at the same time. So developing that sense of gratitude and appreciation is spiritual self-care, and expressing yourself through writing, poetry, art, music, expressing yourself in a way that's different from a normal everyday, talking with another person way, but something that's more, that taps deeper into your soul. Okay. And this is all spiritual self-care. So there are so many ways to spiritually self-care. It's not, it's not just about religion. It can be part of religion, and religion can be part of spiritual self-care, but it's really about who you are, what your values are, what your belief systems are, what you value, how you live your life, your traditions, your personal rituals, your everyday existence, your answers to the big questions, and just sitting and thinking about that on a regular basis and spending time thinking on that on a regular basis is spiritual self-care. So what are your ways to spiritually self-care? Think about it. Okay. So when it comes to self-care, there's always solutions. Here's just a little wrap up. Take a step back, ask for help, spend time alone, put yourself first, ask for what you need, set boundaries. That's where the no comes in. That's part of setting boundaries. Staying at home. I stay at home on purpose sometimes. Saying no and forgiving yourself. All of these are part of self-care and can apply to multiple dimensions of those 4 parts that I was talking about. So it doesn't have to be complicated, students. Really, it's about being kind to yourself. Okay? It's really about attending to your physical needs, your emotional needs, your social needs, and your spiritual needs. Owning that, not being ashamed of doing that, not putting it aside so that other people are more comfortable, or that other people's needs are met, saying my needs matter, I am important, I cannot help others or support others if I do not support and help myself first. Think about, like, on an airplane, when they say if there's an emergency and the oxygen masks come down, they always say put your oxygen mask on first and then help the person next to you and put theirs on. That's what self-care is. Okay, it's making sure that you're ready and able to take care of others. So practice self-care on a regular basis. Even when you're feeling good and life is going great, practice self-care anyway, across all 4 dimensions. And when something bad happens, because it will, you will have the tools and the habits to immediately, self-care, and that will help bounce you back faster or more efficiently than it would have if you had to learn all of these strategies while you're in a terrible headspace. As a, just as an activity, you can fill out the kids' help phone self-care checklist that I provided in the kit, where this video and where the PowerPoint is in the Oasis. So if you look in the Oasis, there's like little activities and stuff that you can do. So fill out the kids' help phone self-care checklist to see where you thrive in self-care, and where you need to pay more attention to your needs and what you need to practice more of. So again, 4 types of self-care: physical, emotional, social, spiritual. Work on all 4 and you will be a balanced person. I promise you that. Thank you for your time.